The latest for NMO is the excitement around the clinical trials that are being conducted. So there are now several large pharmaceutical clinical trials being conducted in NMO-SD that have as a goal prevention or mitigation of relapse and ultimately a stepping stone to curative approaches, including immune tolerization. So those are very new, exciting areas. We're also very happy to report that the CIRCLES study, which is a large longitudinal observational study promoted by the Foundation, has now enrolled nearly 700 participants, about 600 of whom are NMO-SD patients. The balance are comparative disease controls and healthy controls. The important thing about the CIRCLES program is that it helps identify not only causes of disease, but also potential risk factors that might be usable for preventive measures, as well as biomarkers and other aspects that may be very helpful in ultimately curing the disease. At the present time, there are no drugs that are approved or regulatory approved for treating NMO-SD. There are many drugs that are given to patients. However, none of them has been proven in prospective, well-controlled trials to have efficacy. That said, I think there are a number of exciting new frontiers, including many of the monoclonal antibodies that are being tested that target very specific immune mechanisms that are believed to be important in the disease. One of the reasons there are no treatment options that are approved for NMO-SD at the present time has to do with the rarity of the disease and the heterogeneity of disease. At least that has been the historical view. There's some very exciting new updates that tell us a little different story. And one of the things that's very interesting is that some of the recent epidemiological data suggests that there are now far more NMO patients than had been previously thought. And secondly, there may be different kinds of NMO that provide a distinction between seropositive NMO disease and seronegative NMO disease, for example. If that's true, then different drugs may have very specific and more effective means in these types of patients. It's very interesting because NMO has long been seen as a cousin to MS, and unfortunately there is a high degree of misdiagnosis in terms of NMO being seen as MS. The problem there is not only does NMO not get the attention that it might deserve in terms of the correct diagnosis and much earlier than it could be, but also many of the medications that are used in MS can actually have adverse consequences in NMO. One very exciting recent update is the International Panel on NMO Diagnosis criteria, which were published in 2015, have dramatically advanced and increased the speed and accuracy of NMO diagnosis. Those criteria were published 2 years ago, and we're now starting to see the impact in terms of 65 to 85% more accurate and rapid diagnoses of NMO. It's unlikely that NMO is a precursor to MS. They are very different mechanistically. They have different immunologic mechanisms, different types of demographic aspects, and as I mentioned, very different treatment profiles for drugs that are being tested. Some of the drugs that are tested in MS and NMO can be adverse in NMO. We do not know that any patients exist that have both NMO and MS. However, there's an interesting aspect that in some NMO patients there can be comorbidities with other autoimmune diseases. For example, Sjogren's syndrome or related types of diseases. This may be a hint that the upstream causes of NMO rely more on losses of B-cell or T-cell immune tolerance that might create autoimmune recognition of many different antigens rather than just one.